Hello YouTube, we're size 17 here, but you can just call me Travis, and I am back for another video. As you can see from the title, top 20 albums that got me into death metal. This is a video that's been going around for, I don't know, a week or two now. It actually started by a YouTuber called Dark Hyms from the Cold North, who actually I just started watching last night and a little bit today. Actually, we've been commenting back and forth a little bit today, and I found out he's from my home state, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, check his videos out. And actually I'm really jealous because his dog's in like all his videos, and my dogs never want to be in my videos. All they do is sleep because they're old ladies. Anyway, top 20 albums that got me to death metal. I've been thinking about this video for like the last week or so, trying to figure out what I would put on my list. Been going back through my Amazon history, figuring out what I actually purchased and trying to pinpoint the timeline, that kind of thing. Ended up with my 20, and actually kind of I tried to put this in sort of like a chronological kind of an order thing. It won't necessarily be that in terms, especially in terms of when I purchased the albums, but definitely in terms of when those albums were a part of the affecting my turn into death metal, which is a genre of extreme metal that I got into way later than a lot of other of the subgenres. So yeah, let's get started. Before we do though, what we're listening to is this is Zombiefuck by Corpsefucking Art. This is a brutal death metal band from Italy. This is their third album. I never hear anyone talk about this band. They're super awesome. The albums before this one, they're a little more grindy, but still brutal death metal. They have kind of a comedy edge to them, which is, I don't know, whatever, if you're into that too. But yeah, Corpsefucking Art, check them out if you haven't never heard of them or have never listened to them before. Okay, so before I show off the first album in the list, let's get an idea of what I was into. So I would say it was probably around 99, 2000 when I really started getting into like extreme metal genres. Before that, I was listening to a lot of like nu metal or you know, like post-thrash stuff like Machine Head, lots of stuff on Roadrunner of that ilk. And you know, I by that point I started listening to Maiden and Priest, and so I wasn't totally into, you know, just whatever was popular in the United States at the time. But you know, that was a pretty significant part of what I was listening to. But so yeah, about 99, 2000, I really, you know, kind of broke through. I started listening to bands like Cradle of Filth, Emperor, Dark Throne, Children of Bodom, Doom of Gear, that kind of stuff. And I was really starting to be able to use the internet to discover and actually purchase music. Not so much purchase, because, you know, I was, at the time I was in high school still. I hadn't graduated yet, almost, but not yet. And you know, I don't even know if I had like a debit card to use on the internet or anything. Anyway, so I was at least using the internet to discover music, and then I would go to the record store that I would go to that was pretty good. Silver Platters in Bellevue, if you are from the area, was my go-to at that time. And yeah, so I'd look up bands on the internet, and then I would go there and I would see if I could find them. But anyway, so an artist that I had discovered, I don't know when, probably like 98, when I think this came out, was 98? I don't know, sometime around the 97 actually, is what this says. So probably around 98 though, is I was on a site called cdnow.com, which is now defunct. I believe at some point Amazon took it over. I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Anyway, so on this site you could listen to 30-second clips of songs. I can't remember even if every song was available or not, or if it was just select ones. But anyway, this particular album I came across, I don't remember how or why, but I listened to the 30-second clip, and it actually didn't have vocals, so I didn't really think of it as death metal, I didn't really know. But it was actually the soloing section of the song, and I thought it was awesome. I listened to that over and over and over. And that was actually off this album, which is Back from the Dead. By the way, listen to this. Beverly Hills Corpse is the name of the song. Ridiculous. Back from the Dead by Obituary, and the song in question was Feed on the Weak. Like I said, it was just the solo section, the 30-second clip was, and I thought it was awesome and listened to it over and over and over. Didn't know the vocals, and actually I didn't even purchase this album until way later, but I wanted to include this on the list because I thought that, I don't know, it's a death metal song, and I remember really, really liking it, so at least if I wasn't breaking through knowing it was death metal, I was at least music-wise building my taste for it, I guess. So yeah, Back from the Dead by Obituary. This next album is an album that I purchased because, like I said, I was into you know, the post-thrash stuff, and one of those bands was Sepultura. And so at the time, I was just buying any album I came across that was Sepultura. And I bought this. The Morbid Visions. And actually doesn't say it on the front or the back even, but it's actually it's a compilation that has both Bestial Devastation and Morbid Visions on it. When I got this, I hated it. I was like, this is not good. Why did Sepultura write this really bad album? I guess I gave them a pass because it was their first material. But yeah, it wasn't until many years later that I actually liked this album. And so yeah, I mostly just never listened to it. But I can't say that this album was what pushed me into liking death metal, obviously, because I didn't like this. But again, maybe it sort of just planted the seed for when death metal was unlocked in my brain, or whatever you want to say. Along that lines, this is another album that it wasn't really the album, it was actually just one song off the album. But another example of death metal that when I listened to it, I did not like it. And it actually came from my younger brother. He's actually 7 years younger than me. So it took him a while before he really fully started like finding stuff beyond what I was showing him, and he actually got into death metal much before I did, and was talking about liking Cannibal Corpse, which obviously was a band I'd heard of, but had no interest in checking out. And really, it was the vocals. Vocals is what I think turned me off of death metal. I'm not sure what it was about them, but I don't know. It didn't work for me. I can't explain it. But anyway, he was talking about listening to Cannibal Corpse, and at the time I didn't even know anything about like Chris Barnes versus George Fisher. I had no grasp of that at all, because it wasn't death metal, and so Cannibal Corpse was only my radar in terms of a name of the band. But so yeah, he was talking about, I'm rambling at this point. He was talking about listening to Cannibal Corpse, and I wasn't into it at all. And I was talking to my wife about it, and I didn't have anything on my computer, so I downloaded the song by them to show her, because obviously I was listening to other extreme metal bands at the time, and this is probably like, I want to say 2000, like early 2004 probably. Like, this is how late I got into death metal. It was probably early 2004, and I didn't even like death metal really. Or no, I didn't like death metal. And so I downloaded a song, and it was actually Pit of Zombies off of Corpsefucking Art, and I remember just downloading it to pretty much play for my wife and say, listen to this ridiculous vocal thing that my brother is into. I'm not even into this. This is even beyond me. And Cannibal Corpse is now one of my favorite bands, and actually Pit of Zombies, I love that song. And so it's interesting how quickly the switch flipped. And like I said, I didn't like this, but it's possible it was planting that seed in my head for when it would finally click. The next three, and no one else, I don't think I've seen anyone else double up on artists or if they have, they didn't do it a bunch. And actually, I had tons of double ups on my list, so that's just how I decided to do it, because I thought about which albums were the most influential. So yeah, these next three were all back in the day, like 2004. I was, if you can believe it or not, was into movies about at the same level I was into music. And specifically, I was getting super into horror movies at the time. And anyway, so a message board, a horror message board that I was, posting on and reading from at the time, a guy who I was talking to about metal had recommended these two bands to me, and talked specifically about how they were bands that coupled harshness with beauty. And I don't know, it sounded intriguing to me, so I went and picked up one by each artist, and they were, this one is Hate, Dominate, Congregate, Eliminate by the Project Hate, and then a Roman numeral, which I believe is 1999 is what that says. I'm almost certain. Yeah, this is, I mean, to me, this is a death metal band, heavy industrial vibe with it too. Female vocals that are like super angelic and stuff like that. This is really good. And I don't know if, like, by the time I got around to listening to this, because I think it was probably mid to late 2004 by this time, I don't know if, like, the vocals had clicked or what. I don't know if I didn't think it was death metal, but I pretty much instantly liked this. So maybe the seed had started to bud, and I was receptive to the vocals. But yeah, I didn't think about the fact that I was listening to death metal, because I would call this death metal now, but I don't know where I thought it was then. But yeah, I listened to this tons when I got this. I liked it a lot. And the other artist was Opeth, who is now actually one of my favorite artists ever. But yeah, I picked up Blackwater Park, and yes, this clearly is death metal vocals. And again, I don't know if I gave it a pass because there was a lot of clean vocals, or what the deal was, but I didn't think about it. I would say this is progressive metal or progressive death metal, but I didn't think about it, being death metal related. And so yeah, these are the kind of, like, I guess, the bridge artists that got me from not liking death metal to liking death metal. And the third CD I wanted to show, because I picked this up pretty much right away, right after the other one, was also another one by the Project Hate. And this one's called Cybersonic Superchrist. This is the one that came out before the one that I just showed. And again, I didn't think about the vocals that are actually by Jorgen Strandstrom, who played bass. I don't know if he did vocals. I think he just played bass on a couple of Entombed albums, which I'm into death metal now, but I'm still one of my weaker genres. And I didn't even listen to Entombed. I suck, I know. But yeah, I was super into this. Yeah, so yeah. Again, I don't think I thought it was death metal at the time, but it at least had vocals that were death metal. So at this point, especially because of the Opeth, I was trying to find anything that was kind of like Opeth. And I don't think that I don't know if I knew about Metal Archives at this point. I'm pretty sure that I didn't. But one webpage that I did know about was one called the B&R Metal Pages. And it was kind of like a Wikipedia, sort of, because you could click on links and it would go to other stuff of metal. And it was a pretty good resource, and I used it to find a couple artists, in particular these two. And these were artists, again, that I was trying to find that were like Opeth. And so the first one is, this is an album called Dismantling Devotion by Daylight Eyes. I don't know if you can see that because it's so dark. But yeah, this is an American band. They're kind of like a poor man's Opeth. Like, they have the vocals that are similar, and they have the progressiveness, but it's not quite as technically good as Opeth, I would say. But it's still pretty solid material. So if you like Opeth, check these guys out because they're okay. And then the next one is an album called The Story of the Three Sons of Seven by a band called that's a subtitle. This is Mabul by Orphan Land. This is a progressive death metal band out of Israel, and I'm pretty sure to this date is still the only metal band from Israel that I have anything by, and just shows how small the scene there is, I guess, or if it's big, I don't know anything about it. But I kind of feel like Western music isn't as accepted. So anyway, yeah, this was really good. I liked this a lot. I listened to it tons. I don't know why I never actually got any of their other albums, but I never did. But yeah, this is actually the last album, which I kind of consider a bridge. This is the last bridge album towards my really getting into death metal. So this next one is actually the first one where I legit knew that I was listening to a death metal band and I was buying a death metal album. And this is I had gone over to a friend's house, and I didn't know it, but another friend of mine who was up, because at the time I was living in Bellingham, going to university, and anyway, the other friend that had come up unbeknownst to me, if that's unbeknownst, that word, had this album that he had just recently got or whatever, and he played a song off of it, and I was just like, yes, this is awesome. What is this? And the album is Nightmares Made Flesh by Bloodbath, and the song in question that he played was Eaten. And man, to this day, that song is amazing. This is I guess a death metal supergroup or whatever. But yeah, this album, I immediately that night went and purchased this on Amazon, and I needed it. I didn't realize it, but this was really the first time I was into death metal. I don't know if I realized it, but I was. So yeah, shortly after that, I was hanging out with my brother, and he was playing some stuff for me, and actually I can't remember what we were doing, because I remember being in a car when we played this, but just so we could say, this album is 13 by 6 Feet Under. Not their best, because I think even I want to say like 2 of these songs, I want to say The Art of Headhunting and maybe Deathclot, they have like the same riff pretty much. I don't know. Anyway, we were playing this, and the first song, Decomposition of the Human Race, has that kind of like nothing, like a eerie intro that leads into like a kind of cool bass line, and then kind of like an easy but kind of like interesting guitar riff. I always enjoyed that intro. But anyway, I immediately went and bought this album because I was like, man, the intro is awesome and the album is great. And I obviously was just getting into death metal, so pretty much anything I heard, I was gobbling up. And which led me to this next group of 3, and this is probably the pinnacle point of my true full embrace of death metal. And this really wasn't too much longer after I got those 2. I had gone to a record store in the mall that had like a decent metal collection, and I decided I was gonna buy 2 death metal records just from popular bands that I recognized, and I was gonna just listen to those. And the 2 that I came out with were Cannibal Corpse's The Bleeding and Niles Amongst the Catacombs of Nephrin Ka. And you see my shirt. I love this album. Anyway, so I bought these before I went to class, and then I listened to them because I was still listening to into a CD Walkman at that point. Maybe we all were. I can't remember exactly when iPods started being a thing. But yeah, so I bought the albums and I was listening to them, in between classes and et cetera, and I fell in love with both these albums, since they are 2 of my more top albums by the artist. And yeah, I can't speak any more highly of these albums. And actually, on my way home from class, I stopped by the same record store, and I picked up another album by Nile, Annihilations of the Week. And man, this to this day is still my favorite album by Nile. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that they were even going to get better compared to Amongst the Catacombs and Nefer Call, which I still love, but this album is just tops for me. So yeah, that was a really, really good day in terms of catapulting my my like a death metal forward. So yeah, at this point, I was just looking for anything and everything that I could find that was death metal, and I could know about it. So one of the first bands I came across was Necrophagia. They had Phil Anselmo from Pantera. You all know him. He was playing guitar on this. I think he went by something Crowley, or Victor Crowley. I can't remember what he went. Some pseudonym. Anyway, so yeah, I came across this band and I was like, cool. And the album's called Cannibal Holocaust. That's like I said, a few minutes ago or whatever it was. I was super into getting into horror movies and stuff, and so yeah, this is right up my alley. Then it followed me along. I picked up another album by from a different band, but the same singer, Killjoy from Necrophagia. This is his band, The Ravenous, and actually it has Chris Reifert, who was on I think just the first album of Death. I can't remember what he does in this band. I think he just does vocals and drums, but I can't remember actually. But because I don't think at the time I actually knew who Chris Reifert was. So it's a bit of a post-theory knowledge or whatever. But yeah, this album is nothing great. I think I got it off Amazon for like a penny, actually. It's decent, though. It's fine. It's definitely worth a penny. And it's just straight-up death metal. And then I got this next one because I was super, and still I consider one of my favorite drummers of all time, Nicholas Barker, who I knew from Cradle of Filth and Doom Borgir, and I didn't know it, but I guess he had done some work with Brujeria too, which is not really a band I'm super into, but I know of them and I had an album. But yeah, this album, Lockup, Pleasure Paved Sewers. Like I said, I picked this up because Nicholas Barker did the drumming, and yeah, it's pretty decent. It has a little more grind edge than some of the other stuff, but it's pretty good. And then the next 4, these were just, this kind of ends up, because right now we're at 16, so it's 17, 18, 19, yeah, so we're at the last 4. And these are just, these are some heavy hitters that I were some of the first ones that I purchased when I first got into death metal, and so to this day I still consider them, very important releases in my musical growth, as you will. And that is so I got Once Upon the Cross by Deicide and Serpents of the Light by Deicide. Love both of these albums. I actually probably would say that I consider Once Upon the Cross to be my favorite. But yeah. Super good stuff. Deicide, they're a classic. Didn't listen to them until, like I said, this is probably 2005 at this point, I think, if I remember correctly, when I purchased this. Pretty embarrassing to have gotten into death metal so late, but hey, better late than never, I suppose. And then the final 2. This is another, 2 from the same band, and that's Cryptopsy's Blasphemy Made Flesh and None So Vile. This None So Vile is probably my favorite by Cryptopsy, and this one's probably a close second. But yeah, again, these are a classic death metal band. I pretty much only really got into the Lord Worm stuff. Mike DeSalvo, or whatever his name was, he's fine. I got one of the albums. Can't remember what the name of it was. The one with the train on the front. Jeez. Cryptopsy, that's close, right? And Then You'll Beg. Yeah, it's fine. It's cool. But I don't like DeSalvo's vocals as much. Well, so yeah, that's my 20. Kind of a random list, I guess, because I kind of included some stuff that I didn't like when I listened to it, and also I doubled up on, I don't know, 4 artists maybe, so I didn't really show as much variety as other people. But those are the ones that I ended up on. 3 that actually I wanted to show, and that's probably one of the reasons why I doubled up on one of the artists, but not some of the other ones. I wanted to show them anyway. But 3 albums that I wanted to show that I couldn't because I suck and I still have not purchased them, but were Critical and My Journey. And the reason I don't have these 3 albums is because they're all albums that I got burned copies from my brother. And that is Behemoths, Demigod, Carcasses, Necroticism, and Vital Remains is Decristianized. All 3 of those albums are great and definitely would have been on this list over some of the other stuff. I'm not sure which ones I would have bumped, but those 3 albums would have definitely would have made my list had I owned them. I just wanted to show off stuff I owned, I guess. But so yeah, that's my list. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks to everyone who watched, and yeah, have a great day.